So can you criticize Black people without hating Black people or still loving Black people? That's the question. Like, can you just give an honest critique and still really truly care about people? Not just Black people, all people. I mean, yeah, of course you can. You can criticize and you can love people at the same time. So my daughter, I tell her all the time, oh, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, you're good at this, you're funny, you're witty, you're clever, you're, this, you figured that out, I tell her all the things, I give her props where there is due. I also, because I'm her mother and I love her and I care about her, I have to chasten her. I have to chastise her. I have to discipline her because I love her and I want those crooked ways to go straight. I have to discipline her. Both of my daughters, I have to discipline them even when I don't want to, even though it hurts, because the greater thing is for them to be corrected. It is, I have to sacrifice their feelings because I am an adult, and I know if I don't, down the road, if they continue in that behavior, it will be detrimental to them. So I have to, despite them being hurt in the moment, I have to do the bigger thing, the right thing, and chastise them in the moment. So when they get older, they won't keep going down that road. They will know what is right and what is wrong. It's so funny though, when I chastise my daughter, she never remembers all the times that I have uplifted her. It's always, Mom, why do you always get on to me about this? And why are you always on to me about that? You never say this and you never say, I said, Victoria, her name is Victoria. That's my baby, Victoria and Vanna. My babies. I'm like, what do you mean? I just told you the other day you were, how smart you were. We were just talking the other day about how whatever you were, fill in the blank. And, now it's happened so often, she just starts laughing because she knows, like, okay, yeah, that's not true. Like my mom, she does like lift me up a lot. Now it's kind of like a joke because, she used to be so dramatic. You never say, you never lift me up, or you're always telling me how bad I am. But people tend to stick with negativity. It doesn't matter like how much good do you do or how much good you tell somebody. Just human nature, when you tell somebody something negative, the negative thing sticks in your mind longer than the positive thing. And then a lot of times that's what you remember. So for instance, I wrote an article and I was doing some research about, I forgot what the name of the article was called, but I wrote this article and there was this story about, during my research, came across this story where this psychologist had this client who wanted to, he felt like he wasn't a leader. And so, he kept hearing, he had gotten a promotion at work to lead, to be a manager. And he felt like he wasn't qualified. He felt like he wasn't a leader. And so he went to like his counselor or whatever and was like, why do I feel like this? Well, come to find out, sessions later, when he was a little boy, like 5 or 6 years old, he overheard his teacher tell his parents that, little Johnny, he's not much of a leader, he's kind of a follower. Now, 25 years later, that thought, that seed was stuck in his head and preventing him from going to the next level and doing something positive with his life. That's crazy. Imagine if you're constantly being told, you're Black and you're not going to be able to do this. You're Black and you're going to have to, being Black is a burden. It's a negative. It's just, you have all these things associated with being Black. That story. That guy heard something one time and wrote that 25 years. Imagine, we hear stuff all the time about how negative we are, and then we look at society and we see that reflection, but we don't know, we're like, well, why is this happening? But then you're not even allowed to question why it's happening. You just got it. You can't, now you're not even allowed to say, well, you know what? No, you can do, you can be, you can't even do that. Because then it's like, well, you're not listening to my experience. No, I hear you. Everybody has troubles. Like, what you want? I hear you. But what do you, the right thing for me to do is to give you something positive, but you can't do that. It's like we're blocked at every turn. You can't, we constantly put all this negativity on us and our children. Then when we see the reflection in society of that negativity, we're like, that's not good, but we don't want to talk about that. So now it's like we're distancing ourselves from that. No, we can't talk about that. You can't critique things that are going on in Black culture that are just not good. And it's not about it being Black. If anybody did these things, some of these things, it would be bad. It doesn't, it's a simple, it's like universal law. If you do X, you're going to get certain results. I mean, that's just how it is. I see this thing kind of like going around. I'm sure that people don't really mean, if you criticize Black people, that you don't love them. But excuse me, in light of all of the things that's going on in the Black community, it's hard not to criticize. I know that all of these things going on doesn't represent all Black people. Honestly, most Black people are not, into all this foolishness going on in society. We're not. However, it's every day. And there are, the majority of Black folks we live our lives conservatively, most of us, but we tend to be socially liberal, vote liberal, all things liberal. We're just over there, for the most part. And so you do see a lot of people online, always, supporting the Democrat side. And for the conservatives out there, you're kind of like constantly pushing back, especially if you're involved in like political talk, political arenas or whatever. You're just constantly, having these conversations online and everything like that. So I don't know, I guess it may come off like it's always condemning Black people. If you say, yeah, that's wrong, why are we doing this, but that doesn't mean, that's not like an indictment against every single Black person. It's not an indictment against, everything that Black people do. However, two things can be true at the same time. No, it doesn't represent every Black person that's doing all this crazy stuff, and it doesn't represent the whole of Black people, the majority. There is a large majority of Black people who uplift negative things in culture, in our culture. We don't, and I mean this like just typically as a whole. I know that there's pockets of people who do things. I know that there's, I'm saying the majority, the people who are out there, the people that you see, who have the bigger voices and things like that. There's an uplift in a lot of things that are negative. Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, that whole thing, that was ridiculous. Now you got Lil Nas X, that's ridiculous. You got, again, the crime. People hate when you talk about the crime in Black neighborhoods. It's like, but people are dying. That's a problem. It's like, that's another thing. It's like, we can't talk about the victims of these crimes. We can only look at the person who, was actually in the act of committing a crime, or the person who was, y'all know what I'm talking about. So we have some real, we have some real issues that need to be addressed. I mean, okay, everybody has issues. Everybody has issues. It's, ours happen to be this, these things. And what are we going to sit here and do? Just not talk about it? We're not supposed to acknowledge it. We're just going to let it keep going, because you can't critique, you can't criticize, you can't critique, you're not allowed to. Maybe that's because, that we're the kings and queens, you can't critique kings and queens. Anyway, it's a joke. But it's just, I just see, I don't know, for some reason today, I see a lot of people talking about, you just can't critique, and it's like we're not supposed to be held accountable for certain things. Now, I'm not saying there should be an unjustly amount that we are critiqued for, but things that the negative things that we're contributing to society need to be addressed. Yes, we do need more positive history talked about in school. If you guys caught my interview yesterday I did on the Shepherd Florida radio show, I was talking about that. We constantly hear growing up, oh, you're black and you're oppressed, you're not going to do good. We hear it from our own people that, because you're black, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're going to be treated this way, you're going to be treated that way, I mean, it's literally spitting out curses on our children, on our own selves. We're literally cursing ourselves and our children with this rhetoric that we hear over and over and over again. Then we feed all this negative rhetoric to our children and to, people around us. When we see the effects of that in society, we don't understand what's wrong. We don't understand, why aren't kids being pushed to their highest levels? Well, you told them their whole life that they couldn't do anything. You told them their whole entire life that they were oppressed, that they could do nothing, that the white man was out to get them, that they had to work 2 times harder, that anytime a cop was pulling them over, they had to just be utterly terrified, because, we feed all this negativity constantly. It's almost like from birth. I remember getting these speeches when I was growing up. I remember getting this stuff all the time. And I remember when I was starting to feed that stuff to my own kids. I am so grateful to God that God pulled me up out of that mindset and showed me. He told me, you are cursing your children. You're cursing and yourself. Every time you tell them, every time you make their identity about being black and not about who they are in Christ, you're cursing them. I was shook. I was like, oh my God, because it was true. It is true. Life and death lies in the power of the tongue. Choose life. Choose life. We always say these things too. Speak life. Positive vibes only. We say all this stuff, but then we turn around and we will constantly feed ourselves and our little ones that negative mindset. And then when we see it in society, we're like, oh my God, what is wrong? How dare they? How dare they? Actually, they observe, and seeing what a lot of black folks are doing. And I'm like, ooh, that's not good. You can't say that though. It's like you can't say anything bad about black people. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that there should be an unfair remarks about black people, but telling the truth, it's just like, that over there is not cool. That's not cool. It's not cute. It's not safe. It's not smart. It's not, why would we not? If you care about something, you want to correct it. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. When you care about somebody or you care about something, you're supposed to protect it. And when you protect it, sometimes that comes with chastisement. Sometimes that comes with admonishment. Sometimes it comes with discipline. That's life. This is great. That is life. That is nothing abnormal. you know, and I guess we could say, it would be one thing, because I know people are going to say, well, you know, like with the boy who was shot, or the boy who, I forget, I don't even remember his name, but the white kid who, like, I think it was a FedEx worker or somebody like that. Even Derek Chauvin. I don't remember a whole bunch of white people being like, you know, he did nothing wrong. Don't criticize him. Of course, there are a few. There's always, you know, we speak in generalizations, okay? I'm not talking about the few people who were idiots and were like, no, he did nothing wrong. You know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the majority of Americans were like, dang, that's messed up. He needs to be held accountable. You don't see white people protesting and being like, he's innocent, you know, another, you know, white guy being falsely accused. You know, nobody did that. Nobody, nobody's doing that. So it's like, okay, nobody's saying that, but it's us. It is Black people who are saying, like, we're the ones making the most noise about, you know, certain topics. So when people start to be like, you know, have questions or starting to look more closely into, you know, our own communities and things like that, it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. Like, how are you going to talk about that over there, but you don't want to talk about this? So, I mean, I think it is good and right to criticize where criticism is due. And it's good and right to uplift where uplifting is due. And we do need more. We definitely need more positive Black American history when it comes to in school and just, you know, in our own families. Like I try to teach my children a lot about, you know, the positive things, the positive contributions of Black folks, because I know they don't get to hear that a lot. Like, I know that I want them to know, like, no, it wasn't just slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, Civil Rights Act. No, I mean, there's a lot more to the story. You know, there's a lot more to the story. So yeah, you know, it's okay to criticize. It's okay to be uplifting. With everything going on right now, I don't really see, I mean, it doesn't look like Black people are, as a whole, are really suffering from low self-esteem or anything like that. I mean, we're queens, it's Black girl magic, it's, you know, it's kings and queens and, you know, bosses and divas and, you know, all this other stuff. So, you know, anyway. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of crazy out here. What do you guys think? Talk to you soon.